Evening,
And
everyone.
she has not been affected with coronavirus. That's
Yeah,
let's the make record straight.
I have to declare that in the beginning only. So, thank you, Dr. Mukesh, for including me in this IC. I shall be talking about the surgical management of involutional ectropion. I have no financial disclosures. So, involutional ectropion is the one of the most common form of ectropion which is seen in our clinical practice. The pathophysiology behind it is the laxity of the medial and lateral canthus tendon, the sagging of the tarsal plate, the retractors, the lower lid retractors laxity or dehiscence. All these factors contribute to this entity called ectropion. So before planning any surgical treatment or any management, we need to evaluate this patient. We need to see how much laxity is there. So the pinch test is done to look for the amount of laxity. Snapback test is done to look for the tone of the orbicularis oculi muscle. And distraction tests are done to check for the laxity of the medial and lateral canthus tendon. So once we've checked the amount of laxity, we can decide about our plan of management. The ectropion can be medial, lateral, or central. So for the medial ectropion, most of the patients, they complain of epiphora, which is medially. So it's better to do a fluorescein dye disappearance test to look for the tear meniscus height and also to check whether there is any drainage of the of the dye into the nose. Okay, so we can see here the tears are not going in, they are just going out. So always important to do a syringing in this patient to look for the patency of the nasolacrimal duct. So this ectropion can present as a punctal ectropion, where only the punctum is involved, but there is no associated horizontal eyelid laxity. So the cases where there is only punctal ectropion without any horizontal laxity, a simple diamond excision will do. It works very well. This is a short video which is showing the procedure where a 4 millimeter mark is made just below the lower punctum and a diamond is excised, which includes the conjunctiva and the tarsus if possible. Once the diamond is excised, the lower lid retractors needs to be plicated. So we can do a blunt dissection to look for them. Once you have identified, and if there's any doubt, you can always ask the patient to look down. And once you plicate them, take a deeper bite through the retractor and include the suture, pass the suture through the upper and lower part of the conjunctival margins. So similar way, the other end of the diamond is suture. Like deeper bite through the retractors, then include the conjunctival tissue, the upper and lower end of the wound, and then suture it. So it depends on the amount of ectropion. It's severe ectropion, you can exteriorize the sutures, which will help in complete inversion in those cases. But if the mild ectropion is there, then only this technique will help. You can see inversion of the punctum. The cases where horizontal laxity is also there, so it's always important to reduce the amount of horizontal tissue along with the diamond excision. So lazy T procedure can be done where a wedge of the eyelid tissue is excised and the wound is sutured in a standard technique. Another form of ectropion which is known as central ectropion, where there is no laxity of the tendons. There is no laxity of the medial or lateral canthus tendon, only the tarsal sagging is there. So modified big procedure is done where incision is made at the junction of medial 2/3 and lateral 1/3, and you can superimpose the two ends of the lid tissue, and whatever excess is there, it can be excised and can be sutured in a standard technique. Lateral ectropion, which is also a very common presentation where the patient will complain of tearing, which is mainly through the outer corner of the eye. So look for the lateral canthus tendon laxity in these cases. Most of the cases, they have tendon laxity as well as the laxity of the tarsal plate. So this lateral tarsal strip procedure is most effective in these cases. This is a short video where we are doing this procedure. The purpose here is to fabricate a tarsal strip which will help in shortening the horizontal extent of the eyelid as well as tighten the lateral canthus tendon. So it is generally done under local anesthesia, where the eyelid tissue, the upper and lower eyelid tissue is infiltrated. It is also important to infiltrate the surrounding lateral orbital rim where we are supposed to suture our lateral tarsal strip. So the lateral canthus incision is made at the junction of the lateral canthus angle. I use a Bard Parker blade, number 11. Most of the patients are on aspirin, so it is important to use a diathermy or radiofrequency cautery to achieve proper hemostasis. So monopolar tip of the radiofrequency cautery is used to dissect off the muscle. This is the lateral orbital rim which is exposed. I am using a blunt dissection technique by using a bud. Once the rim is exposed, need to do a lateral canthotomy where we are dividing the lateral canthus tendon into upper and lower half. So that's the canthotomy. This is then followed by inferior cantholysis because we have to create a lateral strip from the lower eyelid. Disinsert it from the lower part. Mark the excess tissue around which we need to remove, both anterior and posterior surface. The skin and orbicularis muscle, which forms the anterior lamella of the eyelid, is excised off. So the purpose is to make this tarsus strip free from any epithelial tissue because we don't want the epithelial tissue to invaginate into the wound. I'm just debriding the epithelium from the tarsus conjunctival surface. And once you've titrated the amount of tarsal tissue, the excess is excised. And also important to remove the epithelial from the upper border of the tarsal strip. So a double arm proline suture is used, which is a monofilament, non-absorbable suture. And I prefer to lock both the ends. That helps in stabilizing the strip. So the loop is formed and the suture is passed through that. Similar way, the lower end of the suture is secured. If you don't have the double arm proline suture, we can always use a loose needle. And half circle needle is very important in these cases because we need to go deeper into the orbit. And the suture is passed just behind the orbital rim at the lateral canthus angle at the level of lateral tubercle, and then follow the curve of the curvature of the needle. So similar way, the upper suture is passed, followed by the lower end of the suture. Once the amount of correction is titrated on table, you can tie the suture by multiple knots because it's a monofilament suture. We want a secure knot here. And then the ends are cut long and buried. So if we can pass it through the surrounding tissue and then cut, or you can overlap the orbicularis muscle over it. Lateral canthus angle formation is very important. I am using a 6-0 Weichel suture because it helps in preventing the overlapping of the eyelids at the corner of the eye. And then the muscle, orbicularis muscle and skin, they are sutured in layer. Another condition which is known as total tarsal eversion, it's like it's because of the disinsertion of the lower lid retractors along with the laxity, horizontal laxity. So these cases are treated in a similar way but through the transconjunctival approach as done in Jones procedure. So I'm not showing any video for that. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Manju. We can have few questions from Dr. Manju now only. There is some change in the sequence of speakers also.
Canthus, but
higher.
just a little higher,
Yeah.
because with gravity it is going to come down. So we should just go a little higher than what we would otherwise want.
Yeah, slightly, 1 or 2 millimeter higher than the medial canthus.
I'll ask Dr. Mandeep also to comment on this particular process.
Yeah, so the lateral tarsal strip procedure is a universal procedure for both Entropion and Ectropion. And in our hands, it works very well. So she has very nicely demonstrated how to do it. So if you can, it's a very simple technique. If you can just, but ultimately it all depends to customize your approach, to tailor it to what are the components causing those, whether it's lateral laxity or horizontal laxity or the retractors or whatever. So you need to always customize your approach and then tackle that element of the lid malformation separately also, in addition to what you're doing.
I have one question. Like in your video, you have shown that you have used 40-proline.
Yeah.
So we can use, I think, 60-proline also, and
It
same
is.
effect we can achieve with
It
60.
can, but I have seen that cheese wiring is more if you use a very fine
Because
suture.
40-proline means you are putting 4 knots, and
It's not necessary. You can
So,
do 3 to 1
uh,
or maybe 3 to 1 1.
means I want to say like 60-proline also we can use in this type of
The only
cases.
concern here is you use a very thick suture. There is a chances that the overlying skin might give way, and the patient will not feel comfortable because of the thick ends of the suture. No, but I have used it. I've never seen any such problem till now. It has a good
I think
strength.
whatever works in your hand is
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I would also feel that 40 is very thick, and that tarsal strip is really a little tiny strip, though the mota needle sometimes is a problem. But whatever works in
Yeah,
your hand.
yeah.
Yeah.
It depends. All the cases I use 40 only.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. One,
Thank you. Any?
not, as Dr. Anita has said, it's a matter of personal preference. One more thing, I think, as Dr. Mandeep has said, that this is a beautiful procedure which can be done for Entropion as well as Ectropion. Only thing is, if Entropion is quite significant, then in addition to LTS, you need to pass certain everting sutures. And similarly, if Ectropion is quite severe, then in addition to lateral tarsus strip, you pass certain inverting sutures. So there is nothing great in these inverting and everting sutures. Basically, you pass suture from conjunctiva, double arm suture from conjunctiva to skin side. Just make an incision in the conjunctiva. Sometimes you don't require even that incision. And if you are doing a everting suture, then you go from fornix and you come out in the skin little anteriorly, just below the lash line. Similarly, if you are doing the other way around, you are passing a inverting suture, then you pass suture in conjunctiva anteriorly just below tarsus, and you come out in his skin quite posteriorly at the orbital rim. So these two additional modifications can be done.
I just want to ask that if you only, when you do the lateral canthal sling, you will only get the margin in place. What about when there is laxity in the skin orbicularis? You're going to get a very boggy lid. How do you tackle that? Do you not need to remove some skin orbicularis muscle as well?
Yes. Obviously, that needs to be removed and that need to be taken care of. All right. So now it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Mandeep Bajaj on the dais.